This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, it's a lovely Tuesday here in Pittsburgh. Still a little windy out there.
A little windy, but nice out, yeah.
Everything's, birds are chirping. Spring
Optimism,
is here.
yeah.
Spring is here.
Yes.
And, Steelers are still looking for a quarterback.
They are.
At some point that will happen. There's all kind. So just tooling around as I was waiting for the show to start here. I'm just like looking around different things that are out there on the internet, and it's amazing to me how many people are trying to drum up false stuff regarding quarterback stuff with the Steelers.
I can only imagine.
It just, Steelers meeting with this guy. Steelers might be interested in that guy.
It's easy clickbait. You know, just throw out a name associated with the Steelers, quarterback, and everyone's going to click on it.
All the mock drafts coming out now, like 75% of them now, Steelers and Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
Steelers and Jackson. They don't have a quarterback.
They don't have a quarterback. What are they going to do? It hasn't changed much in the last couple of weeks. I don't know why
changed.
the internet would react so differently. I mean, Rodgers could retire. I keep hearing he wants to go to the Vikings. Even if he does, they don't seem to want him. Yeah. I don't even know there's any truth to him wants to go to the Vikings
thing.
It makes no sense to me from the start for either side.
And here's the thing. If you start looking at the salary cap space available.
I haven't looked at the Vikes, but
they don't have the space to sign. They don't have the space to sign another quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got right now, and this according to Spot Track, $32 million. I don't know.
I'm sure they could get him under.
I'm sure they would figure it out.
Draft picks aren't going to cost a ton.
But that's the thing. You have to have enough money to pay your draft picks, which is $10+ million, and then operate in season.
I was saying you want to have some cash, some spare coins in the between the cushions too.
So let's say your draft class, and you know what your draft class is going to cost.
And theirs will be a little cheaper because they don't have 2 and 3s. You know, right?
So let's say their draft class is going to cost $8 million because they don't have a 2 and 3. But they might want to get back into those rounds.
Sure. Doesn't mean you know what picks you're going to make right the second.
And secondly,
like every team, they could restructure Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
They can make space, I'm sure.
But they also need operating space during the season. So you probably, and because the value, when Kevin Colbert was the Steelers general manager, he always said, well, we need, about $4 million to sign guys over the course of the season.
I think that's gone up.
That's gone up considerably.
Yeah.
With the new CBA, to where the minimum salary is like $750,000, $800,000.
Yeah, $4 million doesn't buy you a lot anymore if you're in the market for something on the open.
You have to figure over the course of a season, you're going to need to sign 10 guys. Now that cost goes down every week during the season.
Right. You have to pay him for week 1 if you sign him in week 3. Right.
But so you better go into the season with about $8 million at least.
Yeah,
in available cap space.
15 for draft and spare change.
It might even be more than that. Like some of these draft classes are going to cost these teams $10+ million.
Oh, like the Browns will be really expensive.
Yeah,
they have serious draft capital, and they have a lot of picks.
Right? Yeah. So you gotta kind of look at that and say, okay, well, they got $30 million. Well, they don't really.
They don't. Which brings me to another point, and I would have to study this more. But you could probably just look at the teams that are up against it now. There will be more cuts from those teams at the bottom of the rosters that are cap compliant now. The league year started; they're all cap compliant. But then it's, we're going to have to get our draft picks under, and get some spare change. Maybe this guy that's making $10 million that we think is worth $7 million might be available for a 7th-round pick. And it's one of the Steelers' advantages. They could grab that guy off of you for a 7th-round pick.
Well, the other thing, like the Giants right now have $18.9 million in cap space. Who are they reworking on their roster?
There are some teams. I know the Patriots aren't one of them, but there's teams like that have those type of rosters that don't have any banks to go to.
When you start looking at potential, where's Rodgers going to line up? The Steelers right now have almost $43 million in cap space, still
which is
available.
quite a bit. And a lot of ability to make more if they really want.
If they really want to.
Right.
So that's the sixth most amount of cap space still available.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
And whatever he makes this year, he's going to get every penny of for this year.
Right.
Now,
you can put some
the team.
You can put some voidable years on that and that kind of thing. But, are you going to want to be paying Aaron Rodgers 4 years from now?
No.
Yeah, that's not good business.
No, I would think it's more or less a 2-year deal that you could get out of after one with some dead money or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe one voidable year in the end just to lower the cost a little bit. But
exactly.
I don't want to take this into 4 years.
No. And I don't think he'll be crazy expensive. I don't think that's what's holding things up either.
Holding things up either. But, you have to look at this realistically. Like, are the Vikings really going to be in play for a quarterback that –
I mean, money aside, it just doesn't make much sense to me as a team for them. He's a big personality. I mean, he rocks the boat. I mean, he makes waves, good, bad, ugly. He's a big personality who's going to command that quarterback room. And I want McCarthy to command that quarterback room. I don't know if he's a good mentor or a bad mentor. He's not going there to be the backup. I mean, he's not there to be Flacco,
which is what
these type of guys.
Flacco would make
all the sense in the world.
It would make all the sense in the world for them.
Cheaper, knows his role at this point. Is not there to take him to the Super Bowl and win every game. That's not his role.
But he's capable of stepping in and starting a few games for you and being that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're,
I think that's what the Vikes are looking for.
Yeah, you're in on McCarthy. We showed that last year by where you drafted him.
Mm-hmm.
It's you got to turn things over to him.
That's why they don't have these picks in day 2 because they're highly invested in McCarthy, which they should be. That's why you did all the scouting last year.
Yeah, but I just don't understand is there the fact that he came to Pittsburgh last week
and
spent 6 hours at the facility talking to Mike Tomlin, talking to Omar Khan, talking to Arthur Smith.
There's real interest there.
That tells me he's interested, and B, he's probably not going. You don't make that trip. You don't uproot your life and say, I'm at my house. I'm in Malibu or wherever he's at out on the West Coast, and say, you know what? I'm going to fly to Pittsburgh today. I'm not interested in playing this year, but I'm going to hop on a plane.
Something to do on a Friday night or whatever.
I'm going to spend 10 hours on a plane.
Just for the fun of it.
Just for the fun of it.
I mean, I don't have any information. I don't know if this is if there's a handshake deal in place, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be their quarterback this year.
I do too.
I think everything indicates that in a very strong manner. They've set aside cap space. He's made the trip. The other spots don't make quite as much sense to me. Maybe the Giants do something insane and offer him $15 million more a year than the Steelers. I mean, they would have to restructure things like crazy or trade or whatever.
They have less than $20 million in cap space.
Yeah, and they don't have a lot of Cam Hayward, T.J. Watts to go to.
They don't have any banks that they can go to.
Right. I'm sure they could get something out of Dexter Lawrence or Thomas, but there's not much. It's not Neighbors and the young guys.
Yeah, so that's what all the signs point to. So all this other stuff, to me, is window dressing. Steelers taking a quarterback in the first round. If they take a quarterback in the first round, it would only be because they love the quarterback available.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that there's going to be a quarterback at 21 that they feel that way about.
Not for me.
Not for me either.
Yeah, I mean, not for me. I mean, I haven't done as much Jackson Dart homework as they have, or Shedeur Sanders homework as they have, of course, or have the resources to, or have as many eyeballs on them. But to me, that's not the move to make.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to player comps.
Mm-hmm.
And this is out on this was done by Trevor Sakema.
Yeah, he joined us at the Combine. He's really good for PFF.
At Pro Football Focus, and he went through and did player comps for the top
100.
The top 100 players on his list. And so I'm going to give you the comps for these top quarterbacks.
Okay.
And he doesn't have these they're in the order that he has them in here. So I got to
his
scroll through this and find them first of all.
I'm sure Ward's not far off.
But I know when I looked at this earlier, the comp on Shedeur Sanders was Teddy Bridgewater.
I think that's a good one. I think he could go beyond that, but I don't think he could get beyond Geno Smith. It's another comp I've heard quite a bit. Accurate, similar athleticism, size, processor.
But it took
I don't think
Geno
it should be
Smith.
Joe Burrow.
It took Geno Smith 10 years to become that guy.
Oh, right.
Like,
And I'm a Geno fan. I think he's very underrated.
That's not a slam dunk. Oh, I got to take that guy at 21 pick. It just isn't.
I agree. And that's Sanders. Okay.
Yeah,
not
that's
Dart.
Sanders. Yeah.
I think Dart might have more upside than Sanders. I think he's a little more gifted. I'm curious what his comp would be on Dart. But to me, Sanders, you want his comp to be Drew Brees or Joe Burrow. Like processor, unbelievably.
I don't see anything. I don't see any of Burrow there.
I don't either. I mean, I think it's a lot more holding the football. I don't see a super quick processor. I see a really accurate player.
I see an accurate passer, but not a quick processor.
And I do see leadership skills, and people seem to follow him at that level and those two levels that are much different than the AFC North. And frankly, I don't think Sanders is even going to approach getting to 21.
I don't think he will
I don't know that he gets out of 3.
So his comp for Cam Ward, he's going to be the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I think it's a slam dunk.
Is Ben Roethlisberger.
Ooh, interesting. Not as accurate as Ben, and comps are never 100%.
Right, it's never, he's the clone.
Wow. I mean, Ben's an oak tree in terms of size and physicality, but Ward's hard to tackle, and it's hard to deal with. I'm a fan. And the more I watch Ward, the more I study Ward.
I've been a fan all along. I can't believe that 2 months ago people were talking about Cam Ward versus Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, right.
I was ridiculous then. It's even more so now.
I mean, people have thought about this is such a weak quarterback class. I don't know that I agree because last year was a historically good class.
Yeah.
And Nix went in the first round, he was really good as a rookie. But a lot of us, including myself, I thought he was a second-round prospect, Nix. Penix, I thought, was kind of a late first. But, of course, these guys go earlier than that. But to me, Ward would be behind the top 3, but he'd be ahead of McCarthy, Nix, and Penix. A year ago version of them. I don't want to pretend like I got a year of NFL knowledge on those guys. I mean, not the version now, the prospect.
As I mentioned, the comp for Shedeur Sanders is Teddy Bridgewater. Oh, by the way, Sycamore has Shedeur Sanders as his 46th rated prospect in this draft.
I mean, I could have guessed he was pretty low if Teddy was his comp.
Right.
Not physically overwhelming. Can get pushed around a little bit too,
not a super big guy.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like you just mentioned Ben, and Ben's hard to tackle. He's hard to play against. I mean, Ward has those things. Sanders has to be really precise, and sometimes he is, but sometimes he takes sacks he shouldn't, and it's a hard way to live in the NFL.
Yeah, just looking here, I'm scrolling down here. I'm into the 60s now, and I'm still not at Nix.
And Unified Dart, you mean?
Or Dart? Yeah. Dart. Where is he at? Wow. I mean,
you really that low? Trevor knows his stuff, too.
I'm into the 70s now.
Anyone listen to the Combine coverage, he's really sharp. I mean, I think we just did one position with Trevor, but he's one of the better up-and-coming draft analysts out there. Other quarterbacks.
I'm into the 80s.
And no quarterbacks.
And no other quarterbacks.
Wow.
90s.
I mean, it's a pretty deep draft. I wouldn't blow me away not to have Dart in your top 70 or so. I mean, top 100 seems a little crazy, but
yeah, Jalen Milroe is his next guy.
Okay.
Dart's not even in his top 100.
Wow. Interesting.
And his comp for Jalen Milroe is a guy we talked about actually yesterday, Quincy Carter.
Wow. I can't believe he's come up twice in 2 days.
How about that?
He was a pretty decent prospect coming out of Georgia.
He was a second-round draft pick.
Right. I mean, he was, a very physically imposing, excellent athlete.
He also may have been a bit of a product of his time.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he was starting for the Cowboys in the early 2000s.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
This was right out. The Steelers were still toying around with Cordell Stewart, not knowing what to do with him at that point.
Yep. The league has not adjusted.
Michael
quickly
Vick had just come into the league.
Yeah, he was a phenom. First pick in the draft, and right.
These are guys that in today's game, because there's just a better understanding of how to utilize these running quarterbacks, that if they were in today's game,
it'd been different.
It'd be different.
There's no doubt. Cordell's the best example that I think people can relate to. It'd be different. I don't know if Carter would be different. I don't know him as well as Cordell or even Vic or those guys.
Yeah, I didn't follow his career quite as.
But from what I remember, he was an early pick out of Georgia, big-time school, super big recruit. And I bet if he was in this draft class, he'd be QB2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because of the traits.
But this idea that suddenly Jackson Dart is pushing into the first round, I just don't see it. I don't see it at all.
And it happens every year. I mean, I mentioned Knicks, that guys go earlier at this position than their grades or tape indicate, of course. But and trust me, Dart would be my top 100 if I were to do a 100. But if he was 50th for me, I can't take him at 21.
No.
If he's 30th for me, I could take him at 21 because he's a quarterback. There's a tax. I mean, there's an inflation, whatever. But if there's so many more players you prefer and you're just taking him because he's a quarterback,
that's where you get into trouble.
That's where you get into trouble.
That's where you find your that's.
Hey, I hope he has a great career.
I do too.
Right. I have nothing against him.
I talked to him at the Senior Bowl. Seems like he's got a level head on his shoulders. He's a good young man.
Right, easy to root for.
All that stuff.
Plays hard.
But that's the definition of a reach.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a guy who should go at 50 at 21.
Yeah. To me, that's a problem. And again, quarterbacks maybe a whole round ahead. I can understand, but not that drastic.
Yeah. Especially, if you take a quarterback, let's say you've got, in this example, Jalen Milroe's his 99th rated player.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 99 picks gets you outside of the third round.
Yeah.
Taking Jalen Milroe in the third round, however, is not a reach.
No.
Because he's in that tier of players. Maybe
right.
his grade might not be all that different from the player who's ranked 70th.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I would even understand the conversation of should we take Milroe in the middle of the second round?
Right. That's different.
If he's 90th on your board or whatever.
And you like him and you have a need. This
I got a
this
plan
could be our
for
guy.
him too.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing about quarterbacks, like every position, but quarterbacks times 1,000, I need a plan. From the day he arrives, I have a plan mapped out of how he's going to be successful the best way I possibly can. Milroe and Dart, they're very different players, but they both really need a plan. Dart's scheme is long way away from what he's going to play next year, no matter where he lands. And Milroe, how can I get him more accurate? How can I make the layup throws easier for him?
Now, Dart did have some time outside of that particular program, which is fine, but it was when he was a very young quarterback.
And you and I don't get to interview him. He might be wonderful on the whiteboard and all those things. I mean, maybe he is. I don't know.
But I just don't know that I can't take him at 21. I just can't.
And we've gone through this, but there's so few second-round quarterbacks now because the ones that should go there end up in the first, and that's when you reach,
Yeah. And when you don't, you end up with Will Levis in the second round.
Right. And you're trading up.
Everybody wants to point to Jalen Hurts. Well, look, they got Jalen Hurts in the second round. One success, I know the Patriots took Tom Brady in the sixth round.
Of course.
That doesn't mean every sixth-round quarterback is Tom Brady.
No. I mean, Carr, Kaepernick, Dalton were all second-round picks. None of them were great, and that was a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like Jimmy G. I mean, like these guys. I mean, those guys were drafted 10+ years ago. Times have changed.
The quarterback. That
doesn't mean you can't hit in the second round.
It's been the biggest
I know Drew Brees
thing,
is a second-round pick.
Yeah.
And, right.
That's changed over the time that I've covered the NFL. You used to be able to wait
a little bit at least.
A little bit on a quarterback.
Yeah.
It wasn't just automatically. Your top quarterbacks, doesn't matter where they're rated at on the boards, your top quarterbacks are going in the first 5 picks, the first 10 picks.
I think a lot of that's because of analytics. And a lot of it's a dollar amount of analytics.
I think the contracts and free agency have affected that.
Absolutely.
In a great way. Not in a great way, but in a extreme way.
If we can hit one, we can go buy anything else we want while our quarterback's on a rookie deal.
And the problem then becomes is you then can't sit those guys as much as they need to sit.
Yeah. Like Dart's a perfect example. It'd be great to redshirt him for a full year. But if he goes in the top 21, he's not going to redshirt for a full year.
Aaron Rodgers sat 3 years.
Yeah.
With Green Bay.
3
years.
Yeah.
Imagine the pressure. You took a guy at 24.
Yeah. And there's no way he would if there was a below-average quarterback ahead of him.
Right. But he sat for 3 years, and then his first season as a starter, they won 6 games. Like, it wasn't a slam dunk. Oh, they just moved on from Rodgers to Favre, and it was, or from Favre to Rodgers, and it was great. No, it wasn't great right away.
And I've referenced this. I was part of the Browns the Rodgers year. So, I mean, he came up as a first-round prospect. We liked him better than Alex Smith. I didn't have to write a report on him, but I had a lot of free time. And my buddy James and I would just watch guys late at night. And he was good, but he wasn't the player he turned into. I mean, like, the Cal tape is fine, but it's not MVP Rodgers.
Yeah,
like,
he's not just flicking the ball
no,
all over the place.
He was a late bloomer.
Yeah.
I mean, he got really, really good age 25-ish and longer, you know. The Cal version, it wasn't a slam dunk. I mean, he would have been first pick in the draft if it was the guy you saw at Green Bay.
Right. No. Anyways, let's get to a break. When we come back, we're going to get into more of these
The comps? Cool, okay.
Take a look at some of the other players in this draft and see who Trevor Sikkema compares them to. It just kind of gives you a little bit of a visual on some of these guys.
I'm real bad at doing comps, but I like the idea of thinking about players through other lenses like that, too. Yeah.
So let's do that when we return. He's Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And as I mentioned, we're going to get into some of these comparisons here that Trevor Sikkema has come up with on Pro Football Focus.
I don't want to speak for him and get ahead of ourselves, and I haven't looked at these yet. But I think Trevor's good. Just listening to him on the air, he's not going to give you, oh, he reminds me of Reggie White. He reminds me of Joe Green. You know,
there's some ones that aren't real.
I mean, we got the Teddy Bridgewater one, and right.
They're not super complimentary necessarily.
No, right.
Travis Hunter.
I don't know who you compare him to.
He says Champ Bailey.
That's
He's
the
looking at
obvious
him
one
strictly as a cornerback. Yeah.
Right. I think Hunter's a lot better receiver.
He's listening him just as a cornerback.
As a corner. Yeah. Okay. But Champ did play both ways at Georgia.
Abdul Carter. I don't know that I agree with this one, but he has Micah Parsons. Abdul Carter
I think that's
is
too easy.
not the next Micah Parsons.
No, I think they're very different. If they didn't have those ugly Penn State jerseys, 11, nothing on the back, and they one was in blue and one was in red or whatever, I don't think you'd compare the two of them. I know they both started as linebackers. They became edge dudes. But Parsons is so good, maybe the best that I can remember at I'm attacking this shoulder and my lateral agility, boom, I can just go the other way when I get you leaning. Like, I think Carter is more straight line-ish and not nearly as powerful. If he turns into Micah Parsons, forget about it. I mean, Parsons is a special, special player.
His number 3 player is Tet McMillan.
Is it? Boy, everyone's so varied on him.
His player comp on him is A.J. Green. I don't see that
I don't
either.
see that one at all. I could see Drake London.
Yeah.
I mean, A.J. Green was fast.
Yeah, A.J. Green could run.
He was a deep threat.
Yeah, I don't see A.J. Green when I watch
Tet
McMillan film.
And McMillan's a little more physical. You know, I think their style's a little different, too.
Yeah. Mason Grant. His comp is Tommy Harris.
Oh, that's a good one. Tommy Harris was a true 3 technique, early pick, exploded off the ball. I think he's a better athlete than Graham, but that's how they win. You know, I mean, they're interior pass rushers. That's the one thing about Graham. I've been hard on him because short arms. I don't think he's a great athlete. He's not huge.
He's got a good motor, and he gets off the ball.
I mean, third down interior pass rush, he's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. Ashton Genty. His comp is Alvin Kamara.
Contact balance.
Yeah.
Contact balance. Yep. It's not a bad one. I didn't know this until actually driving here. Genty started his career as a wideout. I knew he was a good receiver, but I didn't know that, he doesn't look like a wideout.
Will Campbell, the offensive tackle out of LSU, his comp is Ryan Ramczyk.
Okay. It's not bad. I mean, Ramczyk had a really good career.
Yeah.
I don't know that Campbell can stay a tackle, but, you know.
I think he can. Yeah. He moves well.
Oh, he moves real well, yeah.
Jahdae Barron.
He has him high.
He has him at 7. The player comp is Stephon Gilmore.
I think he's a lot more versatile than that. I look at Gilmore.
He's not as long as Gilmore.
Yeah.
But
I think Barron's better near the ball, slot stuff. Gilmore's probably the better. I mean, Gilmore won defensive MVP. I mean, he's really good for a while. But, I mean, outside the numbers, press man guy, he was kind of the prototype.
Tyler Warren. is his number 8 player. His comp is Dallas Clark.
Clark was a first-round pick. Had a good career.
Yeah. Warren's bigger.
I say Warren's more physical and harder to tackle.
Yeah.
I don't know that Warren wins a race against Clark. Clark could move.
He could run.
He had a good combine, and he could stretch a seam.
But his size gives him that seam stretching ability, like being 6'6".
It's not a bad comp.
Yeah.
Highly productive, both.
Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia. That's his 9th player. Kevin Byard.
Okay.
He's a true free safety type.
Yeah, right. I mean, he can do a lot of things, but he takes the ball away. He doesn't take a lot of false steps. Byard's a smart player. Byard had a good career.
Yeah. At 10, he has Jihad Campbell. That's high as I've seen Jihad Campbell.
Yeah.
The linebacker out of Alabama. His comp is Bernardrick McKinney.
That's really deep.
It's going back a little deeper there.
Pretty deep, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
At 11, he has Armand Membo. His comp is Matthew Bergeron.
These aren't glowing for 10th and 11th guys overall.
Well, and hence the problem with this draft a little bit.
Right. I mean, people that love Membo will say Wirfs.
I don't see Wirfs.
I mean, Wirfs is like an NCAA champ shot putter, and he's 2 inches taller. And, I mean, they're both explosive, thick. But, like Membo, if the Pats take him, they're going to ask him to play left tackle. He never has.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Mike Green out of Marshall, the edge rusher. His player comp is Robert Quinn.
Quinn was a really good player.
Yeah.
Quinn was a great tester, super vertical, explode off the ball. First-round pick. That's a good one.
Yeah. Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan. The player comp is current Steeler Darius Slay.
I can see that. Long, smart, maybe not the twitchiest or the pure fastest on their best day, but highly productive, good football players.
Smooth, yeah.
Yeah.
14, this is an easy one. Luther Burden, the wide receiver out of Missouri. The player comp is Deebo Samuel.
My co-host on the podcast I do, we make fun of it every year that someone's going to be compared to Deebo this year. There's always a Deebo in every draft, But
it's
there
immediately
really
what
isn't.
I thought of when I watched Luther Burden tape him. Like everything that he caught was throw him the ball and let him run after the catch.
Yeah, go and make something happen, right?
And he's actually, he's good, like Samuel, running with the ball in his hand.
Yeah. I don't know that I'd line him up as an I-back, and do that, but
15, he has James Pierce, the edge rusher out of Tennessee. The player comp is Randy Gregory.
Okay. Gregory had some off-the-field stuff that made him fall, but he was twitchy, long, lean like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Not a super power player.
At 16, he has Donovan Ezereku, the edge rusher out of Boston College. A lot of edge rushers in his top. The player comp is Christian Miller.
Christian Miller. Why don't I remember Christian
out of
Miller?
Alabama.
Okay. He was a twitchy guy, too. I
didn't really work out.
He had an injury or something early, or something weird happened early in his career. Okay. Because he didn't last.
17th for him is Kenneth Grant. The player comp is B.J. Raji.
Taller, though.
Taller version of,
Yeah. That's not bad. I mean, people might remember Raji when the Steelers played them in the Super Bowl.
Some pass rush juice.
Yeah, he was a first-round pick and kind of looked like a big, fat anchor guy, but did more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, he could really move. I mean, this is a pie-in-the-sky one, but I often bring up Vita Vea with Grant. He's that imposing.
Yeah. 18 for him is Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State, and he's got an injury, but the player comp is Christian Darrisaw.
I think they're very similar in styles. And
which is why he could go higher.
Yeah, he needs that clear bill of health.
Yeah.
I mean, he could go easily top 10 if he's clean in a couple weeks. Darrisaw's one of the best tackles in the league.
Egbuka out of Ohio State, the wide receiver. His player comp is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I was going to say more like a Shakir. Probably somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between that, yeah.
St. Brown's pretty strong comp. But that's his second receiver. Oh, no, he had Burden on there.
It's his third.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, St. Brown's a great player, but he's a certain type.
Right. At 20, he has Kelvin Banks Jr., the offensive tackle out of Texas. His player comp is Elijah Vera Tucker.
Tackle by trade that might be better at guard. Similar body types. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
We brought Vera Tucker yesterday, too.
At 21, he has Cam Ward.
Okay, we did that one.
We did that one. That was Roethlisberger. At 22, he has Matthew Golden. His player comp is Stephon Diggs.
I like that. I think Golden's clearly going to be my wide receiver one the more I've watched him. His stop-start is really, really good. Route runner's really good. Diggs could do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
23 for him is Walter Nolan.
Okay.
The player comp is Milton Williams, a guy a lot of Steeler fans wanted.
I could 100% see that. I mean, Williams was a supreme tester out of a small school.
He was a ridiculous tester.
Yeah, and has the length, the body type, the tools.
The difference is when Williams was coming out, if I remember correctly, he was like 280 pounds.
Yeah.
He was a little undersized.
I'll take this version of Nolan over that version of Williams. Yeah. And I hope Nolan turns into what Williams has become now, but he was a work in progress.
So when people say, why are you so sold on Walter Nolan? I'm like, well, that guy just got paid $26 million.
Yeah, I mean, he has traits.
He got traits.
Serious traits, yeah.
24 is Omarion Hampton.
Okay.
The running back out of North Carolina. The player comp is former Steeler Rashard Mendenhall.
Okay. Do you see that? I got to kind of remember Mendenhall better. He was a first-round pick.
Mendenhall gets a bad rap because of the fumble in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
They don't.
Wasn't he kind of an odd dude too?
He was an odd dude.
Okay, yeah.
But they don't get to the Super Bowl that year without Rashard Mendenhall. Rashard Mendenhall had like 1,600 total yards that year.
He was
a monster that
season.
He's
a first-round fantasy back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His rookie year got blown out by Ray Lewis.
Okay.
Fractured his shoulder. But he was a good player for the Steelers. And
similar size to Hampton.
He was
Hampton's a big back.
He was a 220-pound running back.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't sound – I mean, Mendenhall didn't go to the Hall of Fame, so it doesn't sound great, but he was a first-round back.
Yeah. I mean, he was a solid player for the Steelers.
He was very talented.
25 is Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan. The player comp is Tyler Eifert.
Ooh, I was an Eifert fan. Eifert could run. First-round pick
Athletic,
out of Notre Dame.
Make a lot of back shoulder catches.
Didn't love blocking people.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's the comp.
But he does make those kind of athletic catches that I
Yeah. Body contorts.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all.
26 is Michael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia. Player comp is Jermaine Johnson.
Ooh, I'm a Jermaine Johnson fan. I could see the comps there. They're both very
bigger,
powerful.
Power edge
they can
rushers.
run through you. Right. Okay. Jets missed Johnson all year.
Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M. Dietrich Wise.
It's not a glowing
That's
endorsement.
not a glowing endorsement.
He's a solid player and has some tools. But
people are talking about this guy in the first round. And if Dietrich Wise is your comp, like, yeah. Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. Devin White.
You wonder, would White have been better off being a speedball off the edge as opposed to a read and react linebacker type?
He just didn't have the length to do it.
And I say that
consistently.
I'm not sure Walker does either, though.
Yeah.
You know, like people are so enamored with Walker, and his tape's fun.
There's
not many players like him.
You
in the
better
league,
have
though.
a plan if you draft him.
Yeah, I mean, like there aren't many guys with his dimensions that rush the passer super well.
I think he's an off-ball linebacker.
And then he worries me.
Yeah,
I don't think he's special as an off-the-ball linebacker.
Because I want him if I'm going to use him as an off-ball linebacker, he's going to be rushing the passer on third down situation 60% of the time.
Okay.
I'm just going to I'm going to Kendrell Bell it up with him.
Yeah.
It's basically what I'm going to do. Just keep blitzing. Keep blitzing.
He needs a creative scheme and coordinator, though.
Because he can get to the quarterback in those situations.
He can. But there aren't many guys with his dimensions just line up against NFL left tackles and win.
I just don't see that.
Yeah.
29 for him is Gray Zabel, the offensive lineman out of North Dakota State. And the player comp is Graham Barton.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, that's recent. That's a tackle going inside. I don't know if Zabel will end up at guard or center, but that's where he belongs, and he should be a really good one.
At 30, he has Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle from Oregon. The player comp is Christian Barmore.
Ooh, I like that a lot. Barmore's been out of sight, out of mind because of his medical condition, but he was
Good
coming
player.
on like gangbusters.
Good
Just
player.
got a big contract before that. If he turns into Christian Barmore, I'll take him at 21 a heartbeat.
All day.
Yeah.
31 is edge rusher Nick Scourton out of Texas A&M. The player comp is Shaq Lawson, I should say.
Okay. Scourton might even be bigger, thicker, stronger, more physical, but similar style of how they win.
Yeah. 32 for him is Darius Alexander, the defensive lineman out of Toledo. The player comp is Kawan Short.
Really? Okay. I mean, Short was what I think is a little more explosive, three technique style.
He's a
but
power
he was a
player.
Power
Yeah.
player. I bet Short weighed more. Short also had more of a belly. I mean,
Darius Alexander's put together pretty well.
Yeah, I say he's really strapped together, strong, grown man strength.
Yeah, he's just thick.
I mean, there was a stint there where Short was one of the best defensive tackles in the league.
33 for him is Demetrius Knight Jr., the linebacker out of South Carolina. The player comp is Bobby Okereke.
Okay, they both have the kind of that length and the body type.
34 is offensive tackle Josh Connerly out of Oregon. The player comp is Steelers offensive tackle Broderick Jones.
I don't quite see that. I don't think Connerly is as physical or as powerful.
Yeah.
He might even be a little more nimble. Like if they raced, I bet Connerly wins.
Broderick
But
Jones
Jones
is
can
pretty
scoot,
good
too.
on his feet, yeah.
I bet Jones weighs 20 pounds more and is more powerful.
I think so.
But there's some rawness with both of them coming out of school.
Yeah. We'll just handpick some different ones here the rest of the way. Maybe we'll save this for the next segment. We can
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So let's get to a break. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. We're going through the player comps here that Trevor Sikkema came up with on Pro Football Focus for some of the top draft guys here. We'll dig into some of these other ones here, some guys that interest us, see who he comps them to when we return right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. We're going through Trevor Sikkema's pro comps here, or college pro comps. Just taking a look here at some of these guys. At 36, he has T.J. Sanders, the defensive lineman out of South Carolina, and his pro player comp is Quentin Jefferson.
Interesting. I mean, he wins with initial quickness. And I was aiming high. I was sitting there thinking like Geno Atkins in my head. But, I mean, Geno's a really, really good player.
Yeah.
I mean, Jefferson's a Michelob Light version of that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. How about at 37, Tyleek Williams? We've talked about him several times on the show. The defensive tackle out of Ohio State. The player comp is Deron Payne.
I was going to say sort of Hampton-ish, in terms of just power at the point, hard to move on a double team. Payne has some of that.
Yeah.
I think Payne's a little bit better pass rusher.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. He says versatile frame to play both nose tackle and three technique. So
okay. Williams is interesting for the Steelers to me. Like, you have to trade down pretty far for him to be my first pick, but boy, they could use him.
You could use him.
He does. He has a niche that is pretty nice.
Notre Dame safety Xavier Watts, just 39th rated player. The player comp is now current Steeler Juan Thornhill.
Okay, I would say more single high, but that's really Thornhill's background too. Slot capable, takes the ball away, good athlete.
Yeah,
he's a good player. I didn't do a lot of Watts homework till we did our safety ranks. I'm like, he's clearly number 3 for me.
Yeah, he is for me
clearly.
Too. Yeah, he is for me as well. Just going to buzz through some of these. Nick Emuwari.
You must have him pretty low on the
That's
list.
his 45th rated player.
Okay.
The player comp, and this is lay it in, Jerome, or send it in, Jerome. Isaiah Simmons.
Oh, that's great, right.
I mean, they're like the same dude.
Right. And you wonder if Simmons would have been, I don't know if the Cardinals were a bad environment, but they asked him to do like 5 positions right at once.
That's just, the Cardinals have done this time and again.
So many times, right.
Taking these guys in the first round and then asking them to, well, I know you were a linebacker in college. We're going to play you at safety.
In slot.
We're taking a safety and moving him to linebacker.
Right.
Like, they just do
They
it.
did it like 3 years in a row
Yeah.
with Reddick and Zaven Collins. And, I mean, this staff hasn't, but they made a lot of mistakes with the guys they drafted high.
Yeah. And they just take these
Super athletes.
Yeah.
Like they would have loved Evan Wari.
Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama.
Hmm.
His 48th rated player. The player comp is Trey Smith.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, he's a masher. He's not a real outside zone lateral mover. Run behind him on 4th and 1. That's Booker to me. That's Trey Smith.
Cam Scatabo.
Ooh.
The player comp is Kyron Williams. And I see that.
I see that.
They both got great contact balance. I don't think neither one of them, I don't believe, are a great athlete. And I just noticed Scatabo didn't run again at his pro day.
He did jump well.
He does have some explosion.
Right.
Kyron Williams has some explosion too.
Real bad 40.
But
hard to tackle.
Yeah.
I mean,
they just
highly competitive.
At the end of the day, you're going to hate playing against them, but they're not going to run away from anybody.
I remember people raving about Williams as like one of the best captains in Notre Dame history, like the Gipper and Paul Hornung. Like the guys love this dude,
52 for him is Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker out of UCLA. The player comp, Steelers linebacker Peyton Wilson.
Okay. The skin color thing there maybe a little bit, but they do play similar. They both cover a lot of ground, serious playmakers. Not real holes in their game.
Yeah. 53 for him is Quinshaw Junkins. And the player comp is Damian Pierce.
Pierce was really good for a rookie year, and I don't know what he did to get in the doghouse, but never got out of it in Houston.
Yeah.
I think Judkins is more talented.
I think he is, too.
I mean,
he's faster.
I think he's faster. I think he's more explosive. But, yeah, Pierce was good for a year.
Yeah. Let's see here. Who else?
Pierce is one of those guys, like, if he's on the open market, give him a league minimum contract and just get him in any other town and see what happens.
This is a guy, well, first of all, the player is Jared Ivey, the edge rusher out of Mississippi. Now,
big for an edge.
You say edge rusher out of Mississippi. He is 6'6",
he's
280 pounds, 285 pounds. The player comp for him is a guy that we actually talked about yesterday, I believe, John Franklin Myers.
I mean, Myers is not an edge, but maybe that's
I think Jared Ivey is a guy who can play inside or outside.
Yeah, that's a good comp, and maybe that should be his goal. Like he should maybe watch Franklin Myers tape and be like, oh, maybe I can make that evolution.
Yeah, I think Ivey to me is interesting. He could be like one of those mid-round targets for the Steelers. Like, okay, you don't get one of those guys.
You show up,
or let's say you take Kenneth Grant in the first round. We've kind of glossed over a guy like Ivey.
Oh yeah,
later in the draft. Like this is a guy's a true, like 3-4 end.
I mean, I would think he's kind of a Liao, but longer, taller,
easier for him. Like he's more
closer to Aaron Smith.
He's more Brett Kiesel.
Yeah.
A guy that's like 6'5", 6'6", that could easily put on 10 pounds.
I mean, you'd remember this even better than I do, but I think when they drafted Aaron Smith, he was like 265.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd end up being 290.
Yeah.
Maybe that's.
But he was coming out of a small school.
Sure, right.
But Ivey's interesting to me.
He is. I wonder what they think of him scheme-wise.
Ariante Ursery, the offensive tackle out of Minnesota.
I think he's going to go higher than people think.
The player comp is Phil Loadholt.
That's not promising. I think he moves better than Phil Loadholt.
I would hope so. But that's his player comp.
Okay.
Omar Norman Lott, the defensive lineman out of Tennessee. The player comp is Kenny Clark.
I don't know if he's as stout, but boy, he is. He gets off the ball as well as just about any D tackle in this class.
Yeah.
Where would you for the Steelers? What's your thoughts on him? I don't think he quite fits.
I don't think he has the length.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him on 3rd and 8.
Yeah,
but it's not enough of those, and you got guys to do that. And I hope the guy took in the first round's out there on 3rd and 8.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Dylan Sampson, the running back out of Tennessee. The player comp is Tyrone Tracy.
Good one. I didn't know until just recently that he's got a bit of a fumbling problem too. And we've talked about Tootin a bunch, but Sampson's ball security is so-so.
Yeah. Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa. The player comp is Todd Gurley.
Ooh, that's pretty rich.
Gurley
Gurley was smooth. I don't think Johnson's as smooth.
Johnson's pretty smooth, and he is a very patient runner.
Measured.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard Lev Bell, which nobody runs like
He's
Lev
not
Bell.
that.
Right,
yeah,
right,
he's
right.
not quite there. I watched every carry of Lev Bell's career in person.
Nobody stop-starts like Lev Bell.
I've never seen anything like that.
No. I mean, he's
but Johnson is patient like that.
Yeah.
And then explodes.
I mean, he'd fit I bet Arthur Smith likes him a lot, too. That outside zone.
He didn't make my initial top 5 in our
I think he
rankings.
was 5 for me.
I just did my second go-round through today. He's back into my top 5.
Who was 5 for you? Who'd you bump?
I bumped out
Scatabo or
Scatabo. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I prefer Johnson over Scatabo.
Let's see here. Who else we got? Well, this is one of your Benjamin Morrison, the cornerback out of Notre Dame, the player comp Paulson Adebo.
Okay. I haven't watched much Morrison because it's always injury stuff and it's so long ago. I was shocked that Adebo got the money he did, but he was a talented man coverage with length, aggressive corner. We'll
do one last one here.
Okay.
C.J. West, the nose tackle out of Indiana. He has him at 69 on his list. Player comp, Timmy Jernigan.
Jernigan was a good player at Florida State.
Yeah.
Thick. I think West is a little nosier, but Jernigan did some nose stuff and had a pretty good stint with the Ravens.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a thick, strong dude.
Yeah. So
I'm a West fan.
He's a good player.
I consider him a third round for the Steelers.
Yeah, he's a good player. Let's get to another break. That's going to do it for hour number 1. Those were some of Trevor Sikkema's player comps here for this draft. You can check that out on Pro Football Focus. He's Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. We'll be back with hour number 2 right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is hour number 2 of The Drive here on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. And Matt, Bucky Brooks has come out with his mock draft 3.0, and, well, he has fallen into the trap.
21. That's the spot, huh?
Let's roll through this.
Don't you just get the feeling, though, a lot of these guys just want to get Dart in the first round because they think somewhere he's going to land there, whether it's Giants trading back in or Saints or one of those.
That, to me, is more likely
to
happen than, well, the Steelers taking him here.
I mean, like, I've heard the Jets love him. Like, that makes sense to me at the beginning of the second round, or get to 30 if you're the Jets. Not with their first pick, you know?
Yeah. Let's roll through this here. So he has Cam Ward going to the Titans. No surprise there. Shedeur Sanders to the Browns at 2.
I tend to think that. I read something that Dion was asked the other day about Shedeur's landing spot, and he said something like, I hope it's New York. I don't want to deal with any of
that. Yeah. Travis Hunter then goes to the Giants at 3.
They don't really need him, but I think he's the best player in the draft.
Yeah.
It's not like you turn your nose up at him.
At 4, the Patriots take Abdul Carter.
You take Carter over Membo if you're them, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's, I mean, he's just a higher graded player.
Yeah.
It's not like you're winning the Super Bowl this year either way.
At 5, the Jaguars take Mason Graham.
Getting pretty chalky, too.
He was back up to 306 pounds at his
I was happy
day.
to see that, yeah. I don't know what his plan was for the combine.
Guess he just wanted to trim down.
Yeah. I mean, look good in your underwear type of thing. So I don't think he ran.
He didn't work out. Yeah. At 6, the Raiders take Ashton Genty.
I think that's quite possible.
Yeah. At 7, the Jets take Penn State tight end Tyler Warren.
That's the other name that some Jets people I was listening to said Warren and Dart are the names that are getting thrown around that facility a lot right now.
At 8, the Carolina Panthers take Jalen Walker, edge rusher out of Georgia.
That's almost like Joe Alt of the Titans last year. I mean, like 7th pick of the draft was Joe Alt of the Titans, every mock you see.
Yeah. At 9, the Saints take Will Campbell, offensive lineman out of LSU.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I prefer Membo, who hasn't gone yet, but for the Saints, I don't need a tackle. I just need an offensive line.
Well, and we heard the player comp was Ryan Ramczyk.
That's a good point, right?
He's a long-time Saint.
Yeah. Fuaga's your left tackle.
Yeah.
Like the Steelers, you go back-to-back tackles in 2 years.
At 10, the Bears take Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina.
I don't think that's crazy. There's been quite a few of these mockers that have 2 backs going in the top 10, 11-ish. You know?
Yeah. At 11, the San Francisco 49ers take Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas.
I love Barron. I'd have a real hard time passing on Membo if I were them. O-linemen just are hard to find.
At 12, the Cowboys take Armand Membo.
Okay. He could be a guard for him or the right tackle, or they got plenty of holes.
Yeah. The Dolphins then at 13 take Kelvin Banks Jr., the offensive tackle out of Texas.
Similar. I would think you start your career at right tackle for them.
This is why the way this particular draft is going here is why the Steelers can't go quarterback in this situation. You got to be nuts.
Yeah.
Because at 14, the Colts then take Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama.
Everyone on the planet gives them a tight end, which I understand. But they have a lot of pass catchers on that team as it is, and they just lost a center and a guard.
Yeah, they have two holes.
Interior O-line needs to be addressed a little.
Quentin Nelson's not exactly a spring chicken anymore.
Right.
Like you get a nice little staggering of the ages there.
I mean, I think they're not excited, but Bortolini's going to be the center. He played well enough as a rookie, but you can't go backwards at two spots.
At 15, the Falcons take
edge rusher Mike Green.
There you go.
Right. It's not always Green, but it's always an edge, and it's about usually Mike Green. Chalk it up. Nice.
At 16, the Arizona Cardinals take Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Mississippi.
Be a good fit for him. Wouldn't be happy about it.
No. At 17, the Cincinnati Bengals take Shamar Stewart, edge rusher out of Texas A&M.
I think Steeler fans should be happy about that.
I think so too.
and it is their style. I mean,
they like the longer.
I don't think they want Walker.
Yeah, they don't want Mike Green.
No,
they want a taller.
I think Michael Williams or Stewart would make the most sense for them.
At 18, the Seahawks take Gray Zabel, offensive lineman out of North Dakota State.
I 100% understand that. A lot of times you see a safety go there, which I get, but their O-line and pass catchers are really rough right now.
At 19, the Buccaneers take Jihad Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama.
Another chalky one if he lasts that long.
At 20, the Broncos take Travion Henderson, running back out of Ohio State.
Wow. I almost said when the Raiders took Genty, how many running backs could go in the first round if one goes that early? I guess 3 could. I do think the Broncos take some kind of weapon.
Yeah.
And whether it's Tet McMillan or Golden, or I think tight end's probably done. They signed Ingram. It's a little rich for me for Henderson.
At 21, he then has the Steelers taking Jackson Dart.
Okay.
Kenneth Grant is still on the board here.
That's not even close to me.
It's not even
right.
One guy I have is he's in my top 2 in defensive tackles. He's not that kind of quarterback to take at 21.
I was thinking about this too. Like when we do our top 21, Grant might be like 7 for me.
I don't know if Dart's going to be in there.
I don't know if Dart's going to be in there. I mean, I might get to 21.
For me to take Dart, all the defensive tackles would have to be gone.
4 of them would have to be gone for me.
Now, in this particular draft, none of the wide receivers have even gone yet.
Right.
But there have been a bunch of offensive linemen that at 3 running backs. Like
you're happy to see that.
Yeah. The edge rushers.
You don't want the running backs to go too fast.
I saw somebody did a mock draft. It's Mike Tannenbaum. There's no wonder Mike Tannenbaum is a former NFL GM because he had the Steelers taking an edge rusher in the first round.
Oh, I did see that too. I was like, that is so not
You're
true.
a moron.
Right. It's not even close. It'd have to be Abdul Carter.
Yeah, right.
It'd have to be somebody that's way better than he should be. Yeah.
So he has him taking Jackson Dart with Kenneth Grant still on the board. No.
I mean, the problem is, from Bucky's perspective, it doesn't like he's doing trades. No one after you is going to take Dart. If he wins Dart to get in the first round, that's your last chance.
At 22, the Chargers then take Colston Loveland.
I think they'd be thrilled.
Tight end out of Michigan.
You think you would take him? Do you think they'd take Loveland over their choice of wideouts? Or would you? I mean, the Michigan factor is something.
This group, I don't love this group of wideouts.
I don't either. But you get your choice.
I get it.
Hunter aside.
I get it. And, would you be better with Tet McMillan? Would you be better with
Golden and McConkey would be a little too small.
They'd be a little redundant.
Yeah. I mean, that was my hesitation. Maybe where I would get the bigger body Loveland.
Yeah.
Come back in day 2 and get a receiver at some point.
Yeah, that would be the only, Ted McMillan would make some sense. He's an outside the numbers wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean,
but so is Loveland to a degree.
To some degree, right?
Yeah,
yeah. That's why I was kicking around my noodle.
At 23, the Packers then take Will Johnson, the Michigan cornerback. I'd rather have
gift.
him than Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I don't even see corner as a major need, but he'll be in my top 21. And pretty high.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be available at 23.
That might be the steal of the draft.
Right.
I mean, in terms of where you got him and need and all that.
At 24, the Vikings take Nick Emuwari, the safety out of South Carolina.
I think Coach Flores would love him. And it's a perfect situation with Harrison Smith being there for a year, put him under his wing. I think Starks is a better prospect, but
yeah, I do
whatever,
too. What Starks does is harder to find.
Yeah. Right.
He's a true free safety that takes the ball away.
Right. I mean, Enuari's traits are unbelievably hard to find, but right.
We've seen in the drafts in recent years, we talked about it.
Isaiah Simmons.
Some of these guys are available every year. One of these traitsy,
right.
6'3", 220
what do I
pounders.
quite do with them?
Yeah.
Starks you can do a lot with right away.
Houston then takes Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State.
I guess after like Cam Robinson, you could wait a little bit while he heals.
Yeah.
They should do that.
At 26, the Rams finally take the first wide receiver.
Wow. It'd be an embarrassment of riches, but Adams isn't young.
They take Ted McMillan.
I actually would prefer Golden for them, but
he's not really their style of receiver.
He really isn't. I mean,
he's not a downfield blocker. He's
not really a dirty work guy. They also gave Atwell money.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd go receiver.
I don't think they would either.
I could see a corner.
Yeah. I could see them being a team that would want to get ahead of Green Bay to go get Will Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know if they had the firepower to do it.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, that's their style, too. They're an aggressive organization.
Yeah.
I think they have a fair amount of mid-round picks from comp stuff.
Yeah, I think they go like 26 to 90.
Oh, really? They don't have a 2?
They don't have a 2.
Okay.
Now, they want to give me next year's 2 and 90? Now we can talk.
Yeah, we can talk, right.
Yeah. Baltimore takes Michael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia.
Okay. I mean, it's pretty late in the draft to get him.
You fit him in somewhere. And
yeah.
I mean, they're a blitzing defense. That's what they do. He's a blitzing linebacker.
Yeah. He'd be useful for him. I don't love the player, but,
Yeah. The Lions at 28 take Donovan Jackson, the guard out of Ohio State.
It's not yet a need, but they're getting ahead of things, and that's kind of how I'm sure they'll never let their O-line be a weakness.
Yeah.
Zeitler moved on, but the guys they have, they kind of like.
At 29, the Commanders take Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas.
I'm fine with that. I know they have Debo. I know they have McLaurin.
That would be another situation where the Steelers are on the clock at 21, and the Chargers want to get a pass catcher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
None of the receivers have been taken.
Yeah, there would be some calls.
Yeah.
I don't love that McLaurin and Debo are like the same age.
That's tough.
That's a tough one because what if they both kind of hit the ball at the same time? I think another receiver soon should be in the cards for the Commanders.
At 30, the Bills then take Kenneth Grant.
That happens a lot.
If he gets by the Steelers, that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
He goes at 30, which is why I think the Steelers could trade back
to the late 20s
and still get him even in mid-20s. Just trade back somewhere and still get him. I'm all in on that.
Especially if Nolan's also still there, or if it's some kind of fallback plan to make it a little. There's a parachute. If
in this situation, Grant and Harmon were both available.
Mm-hmm. You're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance Nolan's there at 21 too.
The Chiefs then take Derek Harmon at 31.
Makes sense. Everyone puts an O lineman there, but their D line could use another big person.
Yeah. And then to finish off his first-round mock, the Eagles take Donovan Azareku, the edge rusher out of Boston College.
Yeah. I mean, there's many good edge guys in this class. Why not? I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Just a couple of cornerbacks.
Only one receiver, right?
Two. No, there ended up being.
Did Tet go?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew Golden went. I didn't remember.
Ted McMillan went. I thought he went.
I don't think he did.
Maybe.
Rams.
There you go.
Yeah.
I knew he was in there somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
So 2 at the end of the first round.
Yeah, but pretty late.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't count Hunter.
Yeah. So different look at it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of offensive linemen.
I think a lot of those guys could get pushed up.
Yeah.
And the more I think through it, I mean, the Connerleys of the world, just because money talks. And if you need to get if Dan Moore's worth $20 million, Connerly's worth the 15th pick.
If Josh Simmons is healthy,
yeah,
he doesn't last at 25.
No, right.
If I'm the Texans and he's there at 21, I may move up and go get him.
Yeah, especially with like a Cam Robinson floating around, or that I can live with at left tackle until he's 100% ready or whatever. Even like Ursery and Ozzie Tripolo. I mean, I think those guys go early second. I mean, if you're the Raider, I mean, these teams that don't have great O-lines, and you want to tackle, and you're not going to take one at 6, 7, 8, or if the Saints don't go tackle, when else are you going to get these guys?
Yeah, not this year.
Right.
It's not going to happen. I don't know what next year's tackle draft is like, but
there's never an abundance of them. It's never like, boy, there's too many tackles in this draft. I mean, last year's as good as it gets.
Yeah. So, that was Bucky's take there. I'm sorry, I can't take Jackson Dart at 21.
No. True or false, he will be a first-round pick?
I'm going to say false.
I'm going to say true. I don't think he'll be a Steeler.
The way the draft is currently constructed, I don't think he's a first-round pick.
I just think somebody
trades into the end of the first round to go get him. That's different.
That's the Giants' move.
Because I honestly think he's about the 50th rated player in this draft. Somewhere in that range.
Yep. And if he isn't a first-round pick, I think teams are calling the Browns. I think have 33.
The Browns may take him if they don't
take
Sanders.
If they had Sanders already or whatever. I bet he goes in the top 35.
I could see the Browns passing on Sanders, thinking that they're going to get Jackson Dart at the turn, or we're trading back into the first round to go get him.
Maybe. They have a lot of draft capital. I mean, they could definitely do it.
Yeah,
it's a tough game of chicken to play, but you could do it.
I mean,
if you get to 20 or so, you're probably pretty safe to land Dart.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be hard to get from 33 to 20.
Or get to 26. The Rams want to go get they want to get one of those draft picks back. You got to get something in the middle there, so you bump back a little bit.
The concern is, I'm sure if we were in most cities, it'd be like, well, you better get ahead of Pittsburgh to get the Dart. Where I don't think that's the case, and I think the Browns wouldn't fall for that trap either. They know the Steelers pretty well.
It's starting to happen more and more. Like, again, this is not an outlier.
No, it's a norm
mock draft here, and I don't see it happening.
I just think that
maybe I'll feel differently about that when we get back from the owners' meetings, and I talk to some people down there. But right now, I don't see it.
And I need to watch them more too. I mean, I haven't given them as much attention as I should, but still. My concern with your scenario, though, if I'm like the Browns or the Giants and I didn't get one, I don't want the Raiders to be the one that did it ahead of me, or Seattle that's got a bunch of picks. Or, I mean, there's a lot of teams that could use another quarterback that don't need them, but, like, could the Rams take them in the first round? Or,
I mean, you could just look at this and say, hey, we don't get one this year, we'll get one next year.
That's kind of my thought on it for the Steelers.
It was the same thing for those teams. Like, okay, these quarterbacks in this draft,
I just think the
after
Giants
Ward, I like them. I don't love them.
I think the Giants and Browns, from ownership, are saying you're getting one this draft, and that's how mistakes are made.
Yeah,
that's why you take Sanders at 2 or 3 when you shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, one of those two teams is going to have one of those. Sanders doesn't get by both of those teams.
I agree. Which I think is a mistake.
So if that's the case, then the other one's probably going to make that move to go up and get
maybe to get ahead of the Steelers or whatever. Right? Who knows?
Yeah.
But I definitely could see that scenario.
Or you call the Steelers and say, "Hey, what do you want for 21?"
Yeah, we could talk. Right. I don't know if I want to go all the way back to 33, 35 or whatever, but if you make it worth my time, yeah.
Yeah. So it's all the machinations that are going on right now, but. We'll get some people on when we're down at the owners' meetings.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have
some guys from
some insight too,
different cities and things, just to see what some of the thought processes are happening in some of these other places. But let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, we've done this some different positions here. I want to take a little deeper dive into this defensive tackle position in this draft today. And we end up talking a lot about the guys at the top of the draft, the Nolans, the Harris, or Grant, I should say, Mason Graham, guys like that. But I want to talk more about some of these secondary guys. And there's a lot to like.
There's a lot to like. There's a lot of options. Yeah.
I mean, a guy like a Tyleik Williams who –
Yeah.
Okay,
it wouldn't shock me if he falls more than you think. Just as it's back to that conversation. How many snaps is he truly going to play for you,
Yeah. But
you'd have to have a second-round pick to make it work. I mean, he's not going to fall the third round for the Steelers. But,
maybe not.
Yeah.
You just don't know. Josh Farmer's another guy
Farmer's really interesting.
35-inch arms on him.
I know. It's kind of a rarity for that position.
Yeah.
He can get off the ball pretty well, too, and he does use that arm length to his advantage. I'd have a hard time passing on him in round 3.
Yeah.
If he's still there.
Alfred Collins is another one.
I'm really warming up to that guy, too. He bats down a ton of passes. You watch him. Both the Texas guys are interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, they both
Broughton, the other one, yeah.
Yeah, they were stuck behind 2 really good players on a super talented team. But they got dimensions, and they are big enough to ride the ride here. I think one of those guys could end up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Broughton's another one there that kind of flew under the radar a little bit. In a different draft class, you'd be talking about him as a potential second-round guy.
Yeah, I tend to think so. And you might give him the 4th.
Right.
You mean right.
Yeah. Cam Jackson out of Florida is another one of these nose tackles. It's just a huge space eater on the inside.
There's some value to that.
Yeah. I mean, can you get a guy like that in the 6th round?
I bet you get him in the 5th.
Yeah.
I mean, so those types aren't for every defense. And if I bet we could come up with 8 of them in this draft. The 7th or 8th one's going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
And maybe that doesn't mean the 7th or 8th even best one.
There aren't realistically, how many teams are going to be interested in a true nose tackle type?
Right. Like I think a lot of teams will be interested in Alfred Collins and Kenneth Grant.
Or a Broughton. Someone of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, Phillips and Caldwell and Jackson and these nose types, they
Even
may
West,
be a bargain. Right. I was hesitant on him, but he's not much of a pass rusher either. Not everyone's going to be in the market for him. I think you'll get those guys around later or 2 than you thought.
That's the only argument I can come up with against taking Kenneth Grant in the 1st round.
Yeah, because we do so many mocks. It's wonderful when the 5th round rolls around and it's West or Caldwell. It's like, oh, sign me up. And it's like, we all kind of did that. And I do think Grant could line up at other spots. I also think Collins could. But I don't know if I need 2 330-plus guys in the same draft class.
Yeah.
Got to feed them, too.
Yeah, there is that. But good football players are good football players.
Yeah, right.
And I just want to collect them.
And you'll be big physical AFC North, hard to play against. Derrick Henry's in your division. Don't discount it.
Yeah.
I bet they draft a nose.
Yeah. J.J. Pegas, to me, out of Mississippi, is another one that's interesting. He was a tight end early in his career, and then he transferred. He was at Auburn. Transfers to Mississippi.
He's been in for a visit.
Yeah. And they still used him as a short yardage fullback.
I think a lot.
With a lot of success.
I
think he actually touched the ball.
They give him the ball.
Like 19 times or something like that. And he either scored a touchdown or came up with the first down 17 times.
Mm-hmm. So I can't verify this, but I've heard several people bring it up that NFL teams at the Combine wanted him to work out with the running backs too. And he just said, I'll look too bad against this. Like that's a bad career move. But wanted to see him do some of the drills as a fullback. I mean, I'm not saying he's Walter Payton or Eric Dickerson. But
he's still raw as a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
But he's super athletic.
He's really talented.
Yeah.
What are his dimensions? Is he 6'2"?
He's like 6'2", 300.
I thought he was like 288 or something like that. But I mean,
they list him here at the Combine as 6'2.5", 309.
Okay. I mean, the Steelers could use that guy. That's Ogunjobi.
Yeah. I just think that he ran a 5.15. That's
fine.
Yeah. Right. I mean, he for a nose tackle. I
guess he'd be more nose here.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not Hampton.
No, he's not that.
Right.
But with that athleticism,
Is he Hargrave?
could he be Hargrave? That was going to be my question.
Okay. No, he's really interesting.
Yeah.
Fourth, fifth round?
I think so.
Yeah.
You know my love for Ty Robinson. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. I
don't think he's going to Pro Bowls, but I think he lasts in the league 10 years and retires with a lot of millions in the bank.
Yeah. Just a good football player.
Yeah, yeah.
Jamari Caldwell's another one of these nose tackles that
I'm a fan.
pretty damn intriguing.
Yeah, he moves well. I mean, he's very physical. A lot of stunts and twists with Harmon and things like that, too, that he can do fine. He's active.
Yeah, and he is a nose tackle.
Body type.
Yeah. Mentioned Broughton. I'm just looking here through some of these guys. Tim Smith out of Alabama, another pure. Like, you're not going to get anything pass rush-wise out of these guys.
Yeah, yeah.
But you want them to plug the middle?
I always lump him and Black from Iowa together, too. Just full-grown man.
Yeah, Yaha Black's another one. I can't believe he's not available on the Pro Football Focus
it's so
mock
weird.
draft.
I'm sure it's an oversight of some sort.
Yeah.
But both those guys are, I mean, they can play a little high, but it doesn't always matter because they're just big, strong,
big, powerful.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like,
off the bus kind of guys.
Don't want to meet them in a dark alley types. Yeah, right.
And honestly, is there that much difference between a guy like that and Jordan Phillips?
Probably not. Probably not. I think Phillips plays lower, and he was a wrestler, and there probably is more pass rush upside. But these guys are big, heavy-handed, knockback little center guys.
Yeah, if you put him over top of
the Linderbaums,
of the world, they're going to knock him.
Yeah, he's going to be a handful.
He's going to have some issues. Let's put it that way. Jay Toya out of UCLA is another one that
I don't know a ton about him.
I noticed him at the combine. He moves pretty well. 6'2", 342.
Wow.
That's a big man.
Yeah, it's a big man.
And,
he's not a super chubbo, though, right?
No, I mean, I just think he's got that pure nose tackle, but the effort is like
strong.
You just see pure effort all the time. Just another guy there that could be, again, maybe he's not your long-term answer but a guy that, situationally can play the nose for you that
you get in the 6th round.
Yeah.
That makes a team and is active on game day as a rookie. I mean, maybe. I
mean, you're talking about what did Daniel Jeremiah said? He has 24 defensive tackles in this draft that he has with startable grades.
I think McShay has 30 D linemen in his top 3 rounds, including edge guys. I'm not sure the numbers now I think about it, but something like that. I mean, there's a ton of them.
Yeah. I mean, so you're going to get guys in this particular draft in the 4th round, in the 5th round, even in the 6th round that
will be long-term contributors.
Yeah.
They're going to last in this league and be pretty good careers.
And there's
you got to dip your toes in those waters.
What I see is more of those nose tackle types and not as many of the true defensive end types.
Yeah.
Which is why, when I look at a guy, some of these edge guys or guys who are considered edge, like a Shamar Stewart or like the
Mississippi dude we were talking about. Yeah. Can you manufacture him into a bigger version?
Can I turn Kyle Kennard into a 3-4 defensive end?
Mm-hmm.
I think he has pass rush skills.
Right.
He's 6'4". Now, he was down to 254 at the combine.
Yeah, I think that's not what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to showcase himself as an edge guy. I'm not sure he's the best example.
But he ran a 4.73 I don't know that his best position, I'm not going to put him an outside linebacker.
Not for the Steelers. I mean, he's not going to be in a 2-point stance, dropping the coverage once in a while.
He might be better off being at that 285-pound.
Power end, over the tight end type of guy, too.
Yeah. Was it Savion Jones from LSU is another one.
He was really impressive to me at the Senior Bowl, and I don't know why he's not getting more conversation.
6'5", 280.
Yeah. He plays like an edge. He is an edge.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he can do that at the next level. He's not going to run around tackles.
Right. You're not going to ask him to bend the edge.
Right.
But I mean, just those kind of
traits
guys
there too.
I think are getting kind of overlooked in the process here. Is there a lot of difference between Savion Jones and Vernon Broughton in the grand scheme of things?
Probably not. I mean, I think their style of play is different.
Other than about 15 pounds.
Yeah.
One's going to
If you dedicated yourself to be more Broughton-like over your first year, could you get there?
In the meantime, you're a situational pass rusher that, get in there on
there's
third.
ability there.
Yeah.
It's really an Eagles thing, too. Like, they'll take a D lineman of all shapes and sizes as long as you have great traits.
The traits.
Yeah.
The traits.
It might take you a while. I mean, they took the dude from Houston Christian.
Right.
That was a safety 2 years ago,
Yeah. So, you just have to – it doesn't hurt to look outside the box on some of these guys. Just because they're listed as this doesn't mean that's what –
particularly at that position. I mean, there's a few positions where just give me freaky athletes and coach them up. And maybe 1 out of 2 hits, but they hit pretty big. And, they're just crazy long arms or great get off or something that's
the key
a rare
is
trait.
For that in particular, you can't be the 6'2" guy. You can't ask a 6'2", 260-pound guy to suddenly, okay, you're going to put on 40 pounds and become. No.
Yeah.
You got to have some length.
You got to have some length.
You got to have what Aaron Smith had. You have to have what Brett Kiesel had.
Yeah, I don't want
length.
short, stubby arms. And especially if you're going to run. And again, the Steelers scheme isn't like it used to be where everyone has to be 6'4".
We're not two-gapping.
Right. But it's still, they want length and they want Cam Hayward-looking dudes, Tua-looking dudes.
And those guys in particular, those edge guys, look more like Hayward or Stephon Tuitt.
I mean,
and I think the arm length is a big part of it.
What did Cam weigh as a draftee?
He was like 295.
But I bet he looks different now than he does then.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, grayer, obviously. But I mean, more man strength, thicker,
Yeah.
Just as the way his body's composed.
Yeah.
I bet we'd look at him and be like, boy, he looks kind of skinny, compared to the version we know now.
Oh, his shoulders are bigger.
Yeah.
He's just a much bigger, thicker guy.
Most people don't get the opportunity to grow that long into the league.
He probably also does not weigh 295 anymore.
Probably not. Not. There's a lot of muscle and thickness and mass on that body.
Yeah, and that's just the natural progression. I mean, remember when the Steelers?
I mean, all of us had weight, dude.
He had just turned 21 when the Steelers had drafted him.
I knew he was young, and I thought he was. He was kind of a tweener at the time too. That they were more of a 3-4 team then.
Yeah,
and I think that he wasn't for everyone because he wasn't an edge bender.
And that's why he went. Fell to where he did.
Yeah.
There are more teams looking for that now than there used to be.
Absolutely.
At the same time, you can still find those guys, and I think
your point's a good one. You can maybe manufacture one.
Yeah. I think arm length's such a big part of it.
I think it's absolutely huge. Absolutely. I mean, if you can bend and change direction, you got traits, including length. That's a good start.
Yeah. But the length to me is one of the key components because they don't want. Your nose tackle can have shorter arms. I don't think that your ends in a 3-4 can have short arms.
No, I don't either. And I don't think they want him being 6'2" or any of that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
Now in nickel and dime, sure, but you still want the space eaters and the way that they do their pass rush and stunts and things like that too. A lot of the length is important.
Yeah.
How many times do you see Cam lock guys out?
Right.
With his length,
He just
power. Right.
Boom, and it's once that arm's locked, it's
yeah.
You're not breaking it. I don't care if it's Quentin Nelson. He's getting walked back to the quarterback.
Right. And he's obviously the creme de la creme, but I think that's exactly what they're looking for.
But that's what when they had he and Tuitt.
It's a real handful.
Yeah.
I mean, can Nolan be one of those guys? Maybe. I mean, he's one of the few that I'd say maybe. I mean, that's a lofty praise.
Yeah, I just think those guys are tougher to find than the nose tackle types.
100%.
Much as I love Grant.
That's the only negative because the rest of your draft doesn't go quite as well. There's an argument for Nolan over Grant. I don't think there's an argument for Harmon over Grant.
Yeah.
I have more questions about Harmon.
Although I wouldn't have a problem with Harmon being.
Me neither. I think he's disruptive, and there's a lot to work with there, too.
Yeah, and he's got the 35-inch arms.
He's coming into his own, too. He's a much better player now than he was at Michigan State.
Yeah.
And, he does have the length. Right. I think his lower body could stand to get stronger and thicker, but it will.
It will.
I'm sure it will, right,
Yeah, you just put him on a different weight program. And, okay, you got to build your base strength. All right, this is fine up here.
Yeah.
Now we got to work on the below that. It's like bodybuilders. Don't forget the legs.
Yeah. No, there's a lot to work with.
The muscles
there
up top are all nice. That's all well and good, but you also flex your calves.
And you don't need him to be a true starter, every down player in 2025. Right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. Right.
Anyways, let's get to a break.
Okay.
He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I'll be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. And, of course, you can hear this show every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. right here where you're listening now. Or you can download the Steelers mobile app and get the show that way. You can also watch along on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up on there. We like that. It helps the algorithms and all that fun stuff. And you can also leave your comments there and get to those. And I like to go through.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions, I'll answer those.
Probably do another mailbag at some point this week too, right?
I would think so.
That was a success last week. People seem to enjoy it.
So tomorrow, Matt, the NFL will have a video, I guess, kind of a thing that you can join in on to kind of give you a preview of what the competition committee is going to talk about at this year's owners' meetings, which kick off on Sunday. We'll be down there.
Right.
And word has leaked out that one of the things that they're likely to propose is the tweaks to the league's kickoff rules.
Good. You mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and I hadn't heard a lot about it, but I liked what you to say back then.
Yeah. The proposal, which is expected to be submitted sometime this week, would spot the ball on touchbacks at the 35 rather than the 30 as it was in 2024.
Interesting. Because I remember us talking a lot in training camp. Obviously, the kickoff rule was a big conversation then. And I said it many times, and that I don't know if the 30 is a bad enough penalty, and it ended up kind of being true. That people were
just kicking it out of the end zone if they could.
If you could,
yeah. Well, now if you move it up to the 35,
that's a lot different than the 20 when it used to be.
As good as kickers are in today's game, where if you get to the opposing 40, you're in field goal range.
Right. Oh yeah, I thought you were talking about the kickoff kickers. But
so
if
you move it out to the 35, you get 2 first downs.
3 points.
You're giving up 3 points.
League scoring will go up.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're going to force teams to kick the ball into the landing zone.
Which is what they want.
Yeah. And then you're going to see more returns, which are more exciting.
Again, what they want. Yeah. And you mentioned, too, I mean, things like the Harrison move for Roberts, Pierre. I mean, a lot of the moves, Skoranek, a lot of the moves they've made
jumping out in front of this.
A little bit special teams oriented. And you mentioned, too, I think you're right, that at the end of the season, they weren't thrilled with kickoff and kickoff coverage. Special teams were good for the year.
Yeah.
But that they weren't thrilled with that how the second half of the season went or so. So get ahead of it.
Yeah,
try to get more important now.
Yeah, and you would think that Mike Tomlin might know a little bit more about what the exact proposal is going to be, being part of the competition committee.
Especially more than the rookie head coach that's never done it before and that type of thing, right?
Or they don't have a GM that sits on it. Because there's only so many people that sit on the competition committee.
And I'm sure they chat throughout the year.
I would think so. The return rate last year was 32.8%. So
I bet that's not
about
what they were
one
after.
out of every 3 kicks. It was up from the 21.8% the previous year.
So a big spike.
So that they did get more returns, but I think they want even more than that. I think they'd like to get up over 40%.
I say 40 unreasonable. I bet not. I mean, I don't want to kick it. I'm not giving it to you at the 35.
Yeah,
if I can help it.
Likewise,
maybe some instances if you're a big lead, but.
The concussion rate on kickoffs last year dropped 43%.
Yeah, I knew that.
Because you didn't have the high-speed collisions that you...
I thought that part was great.
Yeah.
I do miss the surprise onside, but I think that's just going to go the way of a dodo. I mean, that's gone. Yeah, such is life.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just no way to do it.
Like, you have to align different.
Yeah, unless you can kick the ball off of somebody up front. If your kicker is good enough to squib it to... Well, you
blast it into somebody.
Yeah, you'd have to blast it into one of the up guys, but it also still has to hit inside.
But it wouldn't hit the landing zone.
Right, you got to hit the landing zone.
I don't know how to do it. I just missed that part of it.
Yeah,
But I could see them changing the rule on that it doesn't have to be the fourth quarter. Like the Chiefs in the Super Bowl would have liked to have done it in the third.
Yeah, they scored right at the end of the third quarter, and you would have liked to have had the option.
At least had the option. But the recovery rate's so bad.
But there's no surprise.
There's no surprise, right?
I don't have a problem with that. Like, you should be able to do an onside kick anytime you want.
There's a lot of times in history, Steelers Super Bowl, where
it doesn't have to. But you can't do a surprise onside. But if I want to, in that situation, if I'm the Chiefs,
it shouldn't just be fourth quarter.
I want to do an onside kick. Let's say I'm down 28 points at the half.
Yeah,
and we score. We have the opening kickoff. We score. and I want to go onside in the third quarter, I should have the option of doing that.
You should be able to do it in the opening kickoff if you feel like it.
Absolutely.
It's not smart, but I mean,
Right.
if that's the approach you want to take, great.
Yeah.
I just wish the recovery rate was better.
Ideally, your players should be smarter. The surprise onside kick only works if the opposing team
leaves too early.
Yeah. Whereas half-assing what they're supposed to do.
They're not doing their assignment. Right. You shouldn't be. But they wouldn't have their hands team out there.
Right.
I mean, it's different with a bunch of receivers and, you have some tight ends and linemen or whatever. You're trying to recover these things.
But if you've got a guy who's really good at popping the ball up in the air or can do some different things with it, if I want to go onside kick, I should be able to go onside kick anytime during a game.
I agree with that. I do miss the surprise of it where you don't have to announce it to the planet. But it should not just be a fourth quarter thing. I bet that gets changed. I don't know if they'll have that discussion or not. But
I'm sure that was part of the discussion.
Mm-hmm. It's like year one for that new kickoff rule. I bet they want to tweak it.
They want to tweak it. I'm sure. If we sat down with Danny Smith, I'm sure he'd be like, he probably has a bunch of ideas of how he would change it. And it was all new last year. I remember talking to Danny in training camp and just explaining the rule. Nobody knew what it was going to look like.
Right. I mean, he understood the rule, but he didn't know exactly what to expect.
And you didn't know
how the other teams are
going to attempt it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knew what his plan was going to be, but you didn't know
what their strategy
might be or what some teams, who are they going to put out there? We didn't even know that at that point.
I mean, I remember Killebrew, I think it was, saying this is kind of like a giant outside zone run play. And I'm a safety, and I've seen that. And not to mention those.
But who else are you putting out there with that? Some teams use an offensive or defensive lineman in the middle. There were a lot of tight ends out there in the middle.
Yeah.
And then a lot of smaller guys. I
think of a much better idea of the type of personnel they want.
Yeah.
Maybe more Pierres and Skoroneks.
Now you have an entire offseason to have studied this and come up with some even more ideas about this.
And if I would bet that the touchback to the 35 rule passes. Just a hunch. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I bet it does. And therefore, we better be prepared on our kickoff team to have the right 11 or 10 and a kicker out there. Maybe I don't want a D lineman like I thought I did because he can't chase anybody down or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of it.
It's evolving, though.
In terms of that, a lot of that was matching the personnel that the other team had out there.
Yeah.
Like if they've got a 300-pounder out there, I don't want my 200-pound cornerback trying to run through that.
Or a strong safety even or a running back or whatever, right. Yeah.
So
everyone better have a returner, too.
Better have two.
Yeah. I wonder if that's part of the reason Patterson's still available at the moment.
Well, they don't have a third running back at this point.
Right.
So he's technically that.
Yeah.
And if that changes, then that could change. So we'll see what happens. I mean, again, the Steelers typically don't make a move with something like that until they have to.
No doubt. But
so
who knows?
But that's interesting. James Daniels talked to the I guess he talked to reporters in Miami today, and they asked him if he's going to play right guard or left guard, and he says, I don't know yet. They're still trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Honestly, they could use they need to clone him. And
it'd be nice.
He could play both guard spots because they don't have.
I don't remember. I know in the Bears he played a fair amount of center.
Yeah.
And same with Iowa, but I can't remember if he's played a whole lot of left in his career or not.
Yeah. So we'll see. In terms of other news around the league, not much going on right now. It's just it's a slow time until.
I don't know if you saw Awuzie got picked up by the Ravens.
I did want to mention that. Yeah. And he was a guy that got cut last week.
Yeah.
This was he got into free agency and they cut Awuzie loose. There will be more guys like that getting cut loose.
Yeah. So I did a podcast today and I sent it to you, but the Steelers are really low with their draft capital right now.
Yeah.
They don't have a second-round pick. They're a playoff team. They're not picking early in the rounds. But they still do have a lot of ability to add to their team with moves like that because they have a lot of cap flexibility, even if a chunk goes to Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to have time. They're going to have time and cap space that they can get the guy that's going to get cut or whatever. I mean, and I know Allen Robinson didn't work out, but there's a lot of those deals that do, that you can pick up that's not a great contract, but you get a decent player for a 7th-round pick or a pick swap or.
Or he gets cut and you just sign him.
They just grab him.
Yeah.
Joe Hayden's the best example ever.
Right.
Like, no one saw that coming. Right. Not every team could have done it at that point, that late in the process.
Right. So we'll see if there's more of that kind of stuff happening.
Oh, there will be.
Especially, again, we went over that defensive tackle draft.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a bunch of those guys drafted.
Yeah.
And if you end up getting 2 of them, and you go, well, we ended up with. You're another team. You drafted 2 of these guys, and you didn't expect to have 2 of these guys, and some teams only carry 4 300-pounders.
Yeah.
Well, we got 5 now.
And one of them's making $5 million, and one of them's making $1 million. So we're going to get rid of the $5 million guy.
Yeah,
right.
We need to get the young guys as much practice time as possible. So let's get rid of this guy.
Yeah. It happens all the time. I mean, it's not a lot of job security unless you're the top guys. There's a lot of movement, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But Matt, that's going to do it for our show today.
Cool.
So for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site, making sure our sound sounds okay out there, and running the Justin Miller hotline, which we'll fire up tomorrow, and for Tyler Vittmeyer, making sure the video gets out there on the YouTube. Make sure you check that out, and also give us a thumbs up on there. I'm Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.